andate avanti. Okay. Vabbè, mandi avanti lei. Ok, buonasera a tutti, scusate.
Good evening, everybody. Massimo Barberi is a general manager of the Consorzio Optocoop, Italy. We represent 440 optical centers in Italy. I'd like to thank my journalist friends, representatives of the consumer press and communications agencies, apart from the industry and optical centers. Today, we shall submit an important initiative that is being supported by the consortium Value Creation. And we said that our market is changing in terms of complexity, and it's fundamental to provide new instruments to optical centers, new instruments that may enhance their professionalism. And so we started looking beyond our sector to try and establish partnerships that can be winning and that can enhance the professionalism of the optical center, and that perhaps can create traffic inside optical centers apart from helping them in their process of diversification and change we experience each day. So today we shall submit an important partnership with Pelikan. Pelikan for 180 years has been dealing with handwriting, and it's a world leader, and it's a winning asset. It's its positioning. Today we have Alberto Rey, commercial manager from Pelikan, and he shall introduce this important initiative. Daniela Paletti, marketing manager, communications manager, and the professor from University of Milan, Bicocca, Luca Benzoni. So Pelikan, through its studies, identified that there's a strong link between school learning and posture. And children in school age and preschool age, the way they handle a writing instrument. Sorry, it's difficult to speak with the announcement. Okay, let's resume. So they carried out a study, and details will be given to you by Dr. Ray, and they identified that posture in school age, preschool age, affects also cognitive abilities and learning abilities of children. So what did we think? And perhaps the world of vision can involve in all of this, trying to establish a link. Today, all vision-related problems, vision defects in school age, preschool age are on the increase. And once again, it's fundamental to prevent and launch a strong message that can support independent optical channels. And with Pelikan, the objective is to identify the objects of good vision and the visual medium you use. I'd like to give the floor immediately to Daniela Poletti, and she will explain in detail the strategy and the objective, co-marketing objective we set. Thank you so much.
Grazie Massimo, benvenuti a tutti quanti.
Thank you, Massimo. Welcome, everybody. Massimo has already spoken about a strong link between vision and writing in the perspective of growth and protection of our kids in their learning phase. When we speak about visual process, Actually, we don't simply speak about vision. I see well. Actually, I speak about a more dynamic process. The processing phase of the brain that receives visual information. The brain receives visual information and at school, what does it mean? It means that people process, decodify, interpret and move in the space and also write. If you think about schools, they look at the blackboard near, at a distance, and different moments. And the person should be focused so that learning and growth may be as harmonious as possible. If all of this is true, and if you think that highly recognized data tell us that more than 83% of the information processed by our brain every day goes through the visual channel, you may understand that this synergy, the partnership we have established together with Pelikan is important. And there's a set of studies telling us that in 2050, more than 50% of the world population will be short-sighted. And if you apply this figure to the Italian market, the latest studies tell us that 80% of the population, adult population, is subject to a visual defect. On the one hand, as an operator of the sector, it reassures me because, there's a market available in front of us. That's very true. But our task is to respond in an effective way to this phenomenon, a phenomenon that in Italy, as you can see, shows you a set of visual defects with a big impact. And an element that caught our attention when we started working together with Pelikan was an estimate. 25% of school-age children may have vision-related problems that can bring with itself implications about school learning. And which are the factors that can affect the development of possible visual disorders? Various studies show that environmental factors, but also weather-related factors, architectural factors, lighting, and also posture and behavior, all of such elements can have strong implications for the development of such visual disorders. At this point, I end. We shall go back to what happens in practice in our optical centers, and I'd like to give the floor to Luca Benzoni that shall explain what we've just seen and those aspects that affect visual disorders. Thank you so much, Daniela. Good afternoon, everybody.
Allora, io affronterò una parte.
I will get into technical details and handwriting and visual involvement, not just in terms of quality of vision, but also behavior of the visual system. One of the most important tasks when we see a visual problem, we should use the right optical device to provide to the child with a visual defect. You should choose an ergonomic frame. It should be flexible, lightweight and stable in the face of the child, because if it's not stable, compensation of astigmatism is no good, and hypoallergenic and atoxic, because if they put the frame into the mouth, there shouldn't be such problems. And lenses play a fundamental role. They should be resistant and they should be unbreakable. And many teaching activities are through tablets, also in primary schools, and it's so important to have UV protection, protection against radiations that can be harmful for a visual system that is not yet fully developed, because in children the visual system is not fully developed. In order for a visual system to be efficient, very often when we think about eyeglasses or changing eyeglasses, we think about the letters that we should read, shown to us by the optometrist. A good visual acuity, but the visual system isn't just based on visual acuity, but also ocular motility, how the child moves the eyes, whether they are aligned or not, if they move together, and if there's a flexibility between the convergence system. When I focus, for example, and when I need to see near, and the visual environment, the working environment should be structured in such a way to keep good flexibility of all such capabilities, but also stable binocularity, that is to say, to manage eyes together, and stereoscopy, that is to say, the ability to perceive objects in depth. And for smaller children, well, we should correct non-correct postures, just like in the picture, and the child shouldn't read or write by lying down. It's not in line with the ergonomy, and also reading distance. If a child reads, lying down is reduced, and hence a bigger effort made by the visual system, but also by all of the body, especially in the case of the visual system that in children is not fully developed. And something that should be communicated to non-experts, that is to say families, recognizing the signs of a possible vision-related problem and alteration in the visual system. We, operators of the sector, know such signals, signs well. If a child looks sideways, for example, if he frowns, if he tries to see better at a distance, if he brings the object near the eyes, if the child has headache, these are problems that may be due to an eye problem. And with regards to visual hygiene, well, we should create a study area, a study station that is well structured. We should consider parameters just like lighting of the working area, and time of exposure to digital devices, and moments spent outdoors, indoors, the posture and body size of the child. Lighting should never create glare, and you should have widespread lighting, and never near a window, and have a lamp. I write with my right hand, and the lamp should be on the opposite side, and the tilting plane of the desk is so important, because if I give such notes to my colleague, it tends to create parallelism between his face and what he's reading. He didn't rest this document on the table, and children tend to do the opposite. A tilted plane is important to keep the good distance between eyes and object to be read, and this is also to the benefit of the posture of the back and exposure to digital devices. Yes, children use tablets. We should teach how to use such devices. You should never use them in darkness. You always need a light source. And you should have breaks so that focus can be relaxed, and such devices should never be used when lying down, and keep distance with so-called Harmon distance between the elbow and the palm of the hand. For example, this desk is too high for me because I cannot correctly position my forearm under the chin. The head looks upwards. It's not the right distance, and the desk should be lower to keep correct distance of my eyes. Correct posture is fundamental, especially to write correctly. It's so important to have a desk at the right height with the right type of chair and feet always resting on the ground so that I do not bend my back forward. Work distance is important. If at 40 centimeters, I use 2.5 units of focus. And 15 centimeters. If you have children, you know that 15 centimeters is something feasible. They use 7 units of focus. The system of focus is stressed too much. Posture-related complications connected to writing. What do eyes have to do with writing and posture? If I hold this pen, I cover the tip, and to see what I write, I tilt my head, and so there's a non-alignment between the eyes, and it creates a problem, and my visual system doesn't develop correctly. Furthermore, I bend my back, and when I get tired, I can also act like this, cover one eye, and not correctly develop the visual system.
Altra cosa, pardon, troppe cose in mano, l'impugnatura.
And then the way I hold the pen, if I do not hold the pen correctly, this can have an impact on the shoulder, on the arm, on the back, and so to the detriment of my body, because not only do I distort vision, but I also strain my back, my shoulders, and my neck. For this reason, holding a pen correctly can lead to good writing. And in this respect, I would now hand over to Alberto, who will explain to us what writing devices have been developed to enhance this good writing method. Yes, so I represent the specialist part of writing in Pelikan. Pelikan has been working for 180 years in the development of writing systems, so we have a lot of experience in this field. First of all, I would like to thank OXO for giving us the opportunity to cooperate within the framework of this project, which is extremely important to disseminate culture and enhance the added value within a sector which is not ours, but however, we found many commonalities, but especially the aim is that of allowing our children to grow up and to develop in the correct way. What can Pelikan do in this sector, in this respect? Well, they can certainly provide the right tools to write, to learn how to write and to write correctly throughout one's own life. Pelikan has always developed writing systems based on ergonomics and on the right balance while writing. The very first pen was developed back in 1960. It was then modernized and reviewed through the years in order to keep these features always up to date. Learning to write the right way implies a series of positive benefits for the development of a child. The act of writing, which to us is relatively easy because we acquired that when we grew up, is actually a very complicated motor activity because it requires a series of skills that a child has to develop. And if properly developed, a child can develop harmoniously with also unexpected consequences on the psychoaffective level, at a psychoaffective level. If a child can write properly and correctly, he or she will behave also accordingly without any fear and able to express him or herself. But they have to be properly educated and they have to stick to the rules. For this reason, working with schools, we are currently observing progressive worsening, progressive deterioration in the importance of teaching writing, because writing in an incorrect way is increasing a lot. Dysgraphics, children are increasing, are growing, and this implies a cost for both schools and healthcare systems. But all this stems or is linked to some specific aspects related to the way writing is taught at school. We all know that there are many specialists, especially neuropsychiatrists and neuromotor experts, will teach us that writing is really key for the development of a child. In a nutshell, it is necessary to have the right tool to learn to write. And the right tool implies also the right learning and the right results. Because if you use the right tool, you have the right posture, and this is closely related to the sight. Because if you have the right posture, you do not tilt your head, you do not bend onto the desk, you do not suffer ache in other parts of the body, and so all issues that require follow-up and subsequent treatments. So holding the tool the right way is really key, and it is the tool itself that should guide the child, hold it correctly. So there are specific tools to do so that were developed by Pelikan, so that this forceps with the 3 fingers hold is the right way to hold a pen from the very beginning. The very first time a child holds a pen in his hands, or the first time a child starts to write or to draw. How can all this be achieved? Well, Pelikan's solution is a system. Well, it is not just one tool, it is a tool articulated in different phases, because at every stage of writing, children need specific tools, ad hoc tools conceived and developed expressly for their own needs, so that both right and left-handed children can express their abilities at best. So a tool that can fulfill children's needs at best. Pelikan's tool, developed together with the Fraunhofer Institute of Germany and with neuropsychiatrists and pedagogists, is the system that you see here. It is called Griffix, and this is basically the result and the outcome of this cooperation. It is a system which is divided into 4 phases in order to follow the writing development of a child. It starts with a wax pencil with specific characteristics, and then a pencil, which is traditionally used during the first grades of primary school. And as soon as children become more skillful, there are other tools that allow children to further develop these skills. A very important viewpoint, and that increases the scientific approach of this project, is that of the Associazione Calligrafica Italiana. They certified that graphics pens, graphics tools, allow children to develop their writing ability at best. And this is a very important viewpoint, a very important statement, because it is not only Pelikan experience, but also a third party, the Associazione Calligrafica Italiana, that certifies and confirms the benefits of this system. Now I will give back the floor to Daniela for her conclusions. I think well, the picture is very clear. There is a close relationship between seeing well and taking care of the sight of our children, both at home and at school, so the role of optometrists, and the educational aspect, which is likewise important, deriving from the right way to hold a writing device, a pen. In this respect, the partnership project was developed and implemented. As Massimo said in the beginning, one of the main goals that OXO pursues vis-à-vis its members is to create value within the optical centers. Thanks to this partnership, we are confident that we will be able to help our optical centers and optometrists to enhance the value of a product being sold, which is a complete pair of glasses for our children. But at the same time, this partnership will further support the families, because at that stage, information can be provided concerning writing that, as we could see, is fundamental for learning, and has also may also have consequences in terms of visual defects if the writing tool is not properly held. So it requires information, education, and the training department of OXO can really make a difference in this respect, as we said in the beginning, concerning in the optical sector. So what will be the concrete steps moving forward? Well, the communication campaign has a claim, which is Occhio alla penna. So you see both the two most important elements in this hashtag, both the eye and the pen. From June to September, our members will be involved in a communication and awareness raising campaign targeting families and households. So as soon as a parent goes to a store with his child to buy a pair of complete glasses, well, these glasses shall have specific features, as we heard from Luca, both in terms of frame and in terms of lenses and coatings, because lenses, coating and frame play a very important role in this respect. But at the same time, upon selling glasses, there will be a further effort to enhance writing. Through a card, a child will try first a pen or a pencil and then the graphic system. And so the child may feel the difference when holding a traditional pen versus a graphic system. This is our goal, as you see. Our goal is that of supporting families, because OXO optical centers have always been acknowledged and recognized by customers as as their optical centers, as the optical center for the whole family, because in the store they find the optician and the right specialist to protect the vision. So this is it from our side. I don't know if you have any questions. I'd like to add two important remarks prior to leaving the panel. First, in my opinion, it is important to go beyond the borders of our industry, which has been self-referential for many years. And this is the reason why consumer press and communication agencies have been involved, because visibility should be provided also outside of our industry. Cross-sectorial activities can really strengthen the industry and can allow opticians and optical centers to make a difference. And then Oya, Lensa, Italia, and all our ophthalmic partners have helped us and are supporting us in this initiative. As you may well understand, ophthalmic lenses are really at the core of the whole initiative. So thank you very much. We can take questions if you have them.
Ok, direi che siamo stati chiari, quindi esaustivi.
Great, I think we've been very clear.